Have you ever walked into a room and just stopped? You're standing there, looking around, and the reason you came in has completely vanished from your mind. Or maybe you had that frustrating moment on the tip of your tongue, trying to recall a name or a word you've used 1,000 times. It's not a big deal, really, but it gives you this little jolt, doesn't it? A quiet whisper in the back of your mind that says, "Hang on, is this the start of something? Is my brain slowing down?" If you felt that, I want you to know, first and foremost, that you are not alone. It is one of the most common conversations I have with people in our stage of life. We spend decades building careers, raising families, managing a million details, and our brains serve us brilliantly. But after 40, it's natural to feel like the mental clarity we once took for granted isn't quite as sharp as it used to be. It's like a finely tuned engine that might need a slightly different kind of care now. For years, we've been told that to keep our brains healthy, we need to do big things, learn a new language, take up a complex musical instrument, or solve endless crossword puzzles. And while those are wonderful activities, let's be honest, who has the time or energy for that every single day? It can feel so overwhelming that we often end up doing nothing at all. But what if I told you that the latest neuroscience research is pointing to something completely different? What if the key to a sharper, more resilient brain wasn't a massive, time-consuming overhaul, but a tiny, almost effortless daily habit? A habit so simple it takes just 5 minutes. And the most stunning part? Scientists are finding that this simple practice doesn't just help maintain your brain. It can actually improve its structure and function, building what's called cognitive reserve. That's your brain's ability to improvise and work around age-related changes. It's like giving your mind a suit of armor. This isn't about memorizing more facts or playing brain-training games that feel like homework. This is about something much more fundamental, something that taps into the way your brain is wired to learn and adapt. It's about creating a small pocket of focused attention in a world that is constantly screaming for it, because our brains are being pulled in a dozen different directions at once. Notifications, news, to-do lists, worries. And that constant fragmentation is what makes us feel foggy and forgetful. So, in this video, we're going to walk through the simple 5-minute trick and exactly how to weave it into your life. We'll talk about why it's so powerful, the science that backs it up, and how you can start today without buying any special equipment or adding another stressful item to your already full plate. Let's start by understanding what's really happening in our brains after 40. It's not that our brains are breaking. It's more like a well-worn path. Think about a path in a forest. The more you walk the same route, the deeper and more defined the path becomes. That's your brain on autopilot. It's efficient. It's how you can drive to the grocery store without even thinking about the turns. But efficiency has a downside. The brain starts to rely on those deep, well-trodden paths and stops creating new ones. The neural connections that we use regularly can start to weaken, and the production of some key chemicals that help with learning and memory can slow down a little. This is where the 5-minute trick comes in. It's designed to gently force your brain off the main path, to take a walk through the underbrush and forge a new connection. It's a practice called focused attention, and it's a form of mindfulness that is breathtakingly simple. It's not about emptying your mind or achieving some state of zen. That's where people often get intimidated. It's simply about choosing one single, ordinary thing and placing your full, gentle attention on it for just a few minutes. For example, let's take something you do every day, like drinking your morning coffee. Usually, you're probably drinking it while reading the news, thinking about your schedule, or talking to your partner. Your brain is fragmented. Now, imagine doing it differently. For just 5 minutes, you put everything else down. You hold the warm mug in your hands, and you feel the heat. You notice the aroma of the coffee, really taking it in. You watch the steam rise. And when you take a sip, you focus on the taste, the temperature, the sensation as you swallow. Your mind will wander. That's completely normal and expected. The entire practice is just gently noticing it has wandered without any frustration and bringing your attention back to the coffee. That act of noticing and gently returning is like a rep for your brain. It's strengthening the neural muscle for focus. Now, you might be thinking, how can something so passive possibly make a real difference? Well, the science is what truly stunned me. Brain imaging studies like fMRIs have shown that this kind of focused attention practice can physically change the brain. It can increase the gray matter density in the prefrontal cortex, which is your brain's command center for decision-making and attention. It's like building a bigger, stronger muscle right there. At the same time, it calms down the amygdala, which is your brain's alarm system. This means you're not just getting sharper, you're also becoming more resilient to stress. And as we know, stress is public enemy number one for memory and clarity. When you're constantly stressed, your brain is flooded with cortisol, which can actually damage cells in the hippocampus, your memory's headquarters. So this 5-minute habit is a 2-for-1. It's building up the parts you need and protecting the parts you have. The beauty of this is its flexibility. It doesn't have to be coffee. It can be focusing on the sensation of the water on your hands while you do the dishes, truly listening to the sound of a single bird outside your window, or even just feeling your feet on the floor as you stand and brush your teeth. The object of your attention doesn't matter. What matters is a deliberate, gentle effort to place your focus there and to guide it back when it drifts. It's in that gentle guiding back that the real magic happens. It's like telling your brain, you are in charge here, not your distractions. So now that we understand the what and the why, let's talk about the how. How do you actually build this into a habit that sticks, especially when you're convinced you don't have a spare 5 minutes in your day? The key is to attach it to an existing habit, a concept often called habit stacking. You're not adding a new thing. You're just modifying something you already do. Think about your morning routine. You already wake up, you use the bathroom, you likely have some kind of breakfast or coffee. That's your anchor. You can decide, while my coffee is brewing or for the first 5 minutes after I sit down with it, that is my focus attention time. You don't need to find extra time. You're just redecorating a tiny slice of time that already exists. The same could be true for the first few minutes after you get into your car before you start the engine, or after you sit down on the bench at the park during your walk. It's about finding those little pockets and claiming them for your brain. And that's the foundation of it all. It's not a complicated secret, but its simplicity is its power. It's about making a small, conscious choice to be present, which is something our brains are desperately craving in this chaotic world. This single practice sets the stage for everything else we'll talk about, because it trains a fundamental skill of attention, which is a gateway to a sharper, more vibrant mind. You know, it's funny when you start doing this. When you actually take those 5 minutes to just be with your coffee, or to really feel the soapy water on your hands, you begin to notice something else, a little more space in your mind. It's like you've been trying to listen to a radio station with a lot of static, and you just found the dial to tune it in more clearly. That static is the mental chatter, the background noise of worries, plans, and to-do list that's always running. And this practice of focused attention turns the volume down just a notch. And it's in that newfound quiet that something pretty amazing can happen. You see, a calm, focused brain is a ready brain. It's primed to learn, to make new connections. This brings us to the next layer of our 5-minute trick, which is about gently introducing novelty. Now, before you panic and think I'm going to tell you to start learning quantum physics, let me be clear. I'm talking about the smallest, simplest shifts, because when your brain is calm and paying attention, it becomes incredibly receptive to little challenges. And it's these little challenges that build those new neural pathways we talked about. Think of it like this. That focused attention practice is like preparing the soil in a garden, making it rich and fertile. Now, we're going to plant a few very small seeds. And one of the most powerful seeds you can plant is to change up your most routine physical actions. This is called neurobics. Aerobics are your brain, and it's a concept that scientists have found to be remarkably effective. It sounds fancy, but it's incredibly simple. It works because so much of what we do every day is on autopilot. You brush your teeth with the same hand. You take the same route on your walk. You button your shirt starting from the top. Your brain has mastered these sequences so thoroughly that it doesn't have to work at all. It's coasting. But when you change the script, even in a tiny way, you force your brain to wake up and pay attention. It has to create a new sequence, fire new neurons, and form a new connection. It's a fantastic workout, disguised as a silly game. So, What does this look like in practice? It's things like trying to brush your teeth with your non-dominant hand. Now, the first time you do this, it will feel incredibly awkward. You might even feel a little foolish. But that feeling of awkwardness, that's the sound of your brain waking up. It's firing up new circuits, coordinating muscles in a new way, and building flexibility. You could try getting dressed with your eyes closed. Now, be safe, of course. Maybe just sit on the edge of the bed to do it. But feel for the buttons, find the sleeves, rely on your sense of touch rather than your sight. You'll be amazed at how much more present you are in that simple act. Or take your daily walk. It's a wonderful habit, but if you always go left out of your driveway, try going right. If you always walk the same loop in the park, walk it in the reverse direction. It sounds almost too simple to matter, but you will see your neighborhood with new eyes. Your brain is no longer on autopilot. It's actively processing a slightly different landscape, noticing houses and trees it usually ignores. These are all 5-minute investments, or even less, that yield a huge return in mental agility. Now, there's another kind of novelty that is equally powerful, and it has to do with your senses. We live in a very sight-dominant world. We rely on our eyes so much that our other senses can get a little lazy, but engaging them is a direct line to different parts of your brain. So, another way to spend your 5 minutes is to have a sensory session. For example, when you eat your lunch, try closing your eyes for the first couple of bites. Without the distraction of sight, your sense of taste and smell become incredibly vivid. You'll notice the textures, the subtle flavors, the complexity of something you might normally eat while watching TV. You're not just eating, you're having an experience. And that experience is creating a richer, more detailed memory and strengthening new neural networks. You could do the same with sound. Sit for 5 minutes in your garden or by an open window and just listen. Don't label the sounds as car or bird. Just listen to the layers of them, the high pitches, the low rumbles, the rhythms. It's a form of active listening that pulls your brain into the present moment and away from its internal stories. This isn't about adding more to your day. It's about deepening the moments that are already there. The beautiful thing about layering this novelty on top of the focused attention is that it becomes a kind of play. It's not another chore. It's not another item on the to-do list that you can fail at. It's an experiment. Some days you'll remember to do it, other days you won't, and that's perfectly okay. The point is to introduce an element of gentle, curious challenge into the background of your life. It keeps your brain engaged and alert, not because it's scared of failing, but because it's intrigued and curious. And curiosity, it turns out, is a superpower for the aging brain. It's the antidote to that autopilot feeling. When you're curious, you're open, you're asking questions, you're in a state of learning. And you don't need to be in a classroom to be curious. You can be curious about anything. Why is that cloud shaped that way? How does this spoon feel in my hand if I really pay attention? What would happen if I took a different way to the post office today? This mindset of gentle curiosity, fueled by these small 5-minute practices, fundamentally changes your relationship with your own mind. It stops being this thing you worry is failing you and starts being a fascinating companion that you get to explore the world with. And that shift in perspective, from one of worry to one of possibility, is where the real, lasting change begins to take root. And that sense of possibility, that feeling of your brain waking up and becoming a more curious, engaged partner in your life. That's really what this is all about, isn't it? It's not about trying to recapture the brain you had at 25. It's about nurturing the wise, experienced, and incredibly capable brain you have right now. You spent a lifetime filling it with knowledge and memories. And these small habits are simply about ensuring that the filing system stays in great shape, that the pathways between all that wonderful knowledge remain wide open and well-traveled. Now, there's one final crucial piece to this puzzle, and it's something that often gets overlooked when we talk about brain health. We've talked about focusing your attention and introducing novelty, but all of that happens inside your own mind. This last part is about connection. Because our brains are not meant to operate in isolation. They are social organs, wired through millennia of evolution to connect with other brains. And after 40, As our lives often become a little quieter, our social circles can naturally shrink a bit. Kids move out, we retire from jobs, and without even realizing it, we can find ourselves with fewer of those meaningful, stimulating conversations that truly light up our neural networks. So, the third part of our 5-minute trick is dedicated to what I call purposeful connection. This isn't about scrolling through social media or having a quick, surface-level chat about the weather. This is about a brief, but genuinely engaged conversation. A 5-minute chat that has real substance. The science on this is profound. When we have a meaningful social interaction, our brain releases a cocktail of beneficial chemicals, like oxytocin, which reduces stress, and dopamine, which is associated with pleasure and learning. It's a full brain workout that also happens to feel good. But how do you do this in just 5 minutes? It's about quality, not quantity. It could be a phone call to a friend or a family member where you ask a specific, open-ended question. Instead of "how are you," you might try, "What's the most interesting thing that happened to you this week?" Or, "Tell me about something that made you laugh recently." And then, here's the key part. You listen, you give them your full, focused attention for those few minutes. You're not planning what you're going to say next. You're just taking in their story, their perspective. You are, in that moment, practicing that focused attention with another person. If a phone call feels like too much, it can be as simple as having a genuine conversation with your cashier at the grocery store. Not just a hello, but looking them in the eye, asking how their day is going, and really listening to the answer. It's a small moment of shared humanity that pulls you out of your own head and into the present moment with another person. These micro moments of connection are like little sparks for your brain. They challenge you to see the world from a slightly different angle, to process emotions, and to practice empathy. All of that is high-level cognitive work, beautifully disguised as a simple chat. Now, you might be weaving all of this together. The focused attention on your morning walk, the novelty of noticing the different bird songs, and the purposeful connection with a neighbor you meet along the way. And when you start to stack these small 5-minute habits, day after day, something begins to shift. The fog you might have felt before starts to lift, not all at once, but gradually, like the sun breaking through clouds. You'll find that you're remembering names a little easier, that you feel less frazzled when you're trying to find your keys, and that you just feel sharper, more present in your own life. And that's the ultimate goal. It's not about performing better on a memory test. It's about being fully there for your granddaughter's story, for the taste of a perfectly ripe strawberry, for the quiet joy of a sunset. It's about living your life with clarity and engagement, rather than watching it from a foggy distance. So, as we wrap up, I want you to remember that this isn't a rigid program. It's a gentle invitation. An invitation to be a little more curious, a little more present, and a little more connected for just 5 minutes at a time. You don't have to do it perfectly. Some days you'll forget entirely, and that's okay. Just begin again the next day. The power is in the consistency of returning, not in achieving perfection. I'd love to hear about your experiences with this. Have you tried taking a different route on your walk? Did you have a 5-minute conversation that really brightened your day? Please share your stories in the comments below. Your journey might be the very thing that inspires someone else to take that first small step. If this resonated with you, and you like more simple, science-backed tips for thriving in this chapter of your life, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us reach other wonderful people like you. Thank you for spending this time with me, for caring for that brilliant brain of yours, and for investing in your own well-being. Remember, it's never too late to nurture your mind and to live with more vitality and joy. Here's to you, and to the sharp, vibrant, and wonderfully experienced brain that got you here.